Welcome to Death X Files. Today we got my man's Kev and me. We're the main hosts. This is the episode 1. We're gonna get this shit started. We're both interested in aliens. Both grew up with conspiracy theories in our lives. Both grew up with the internet at a young age. Today I'm gonna show my man's Kev Philip Schneider. Philip Schneider was a geologist and an engineer that was found in his hotel room with a catheter wrapped around his neck, fired from the back. They said he committed suicide, but none of it adds up to this day. Also, one interesting thing about this is that he does a similar job to my man's Kev here. He actually goes underneath the earth 2,000 feet to do his job. So does Kevin. So he's a rock flagger operator. Kevin might even know some of the terminology. Let's pop into it. Let's get her going. You ready for it, Kev? All right. This is Philip Schneider. Let's go.
Now, another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory on the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa. We built an underground facility, better part of 3 cubic miles.
Is huge.
That's a big spot.
To the southwest of that, we built.
It's big.
We were
It's
in
really
the
big.
process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number the early
2.5 miles.
Number the original.
That's a long way.
Wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles.
So yeah, 2 miles.
2 miles a day. They were pushing that shit down quick, like really quick.
So that's almost inconceivable to be moving that amount.
It's not that it's inconceivable going straight down the hole, like, and they were probably using like boreholes, right? Like they weren't using they're not shafting it out all the way and going down 2.5 miles. They're just taking like an 8-foot diameter hole and going down just straight down, which is much faster, especially with the types of machines on surface. If you're drilling from underground, it's much different because the machine, you can't get that big of machinery underground unless you bore in from the surface with that type of machinery, with like a tunnel style building machinery. But like underground,
so it has to be automated underground. It's basically its own operational system. And when you're underground, digging down from the top, you obviously can operate from above there. So
yes, and we don't have fully true. I mean, we do have full true autonomous loading and haul truck driving and stuff, but we don't run the full autonomous side of it. We just stay with we call it teleremoting or autopilot, where the operator is responsible on surface for loading the bucket with ore and getting the machine moving from that point, and then they push the autopilot button. It'll drive all the way to the destination, and then they dump the bucket in the pile, on the ore pile. We do have an auto dump, I guess you'd say auto lift or auto fill option. Mm-hmm. But those systems are incorporated into the way the machine is set up, the way those systems are. If there's about 6 million sensors for that system, and they're set up in areas where they easily get ripped off and destroyed. And when they get ripped off and destroyed, it stops working. So and the way to service it isn't just you can just replace the sensor. If it breaks the sensor off the housing of the cylinder, it's built inside of the cylinder, and you have to replace the entire cylinder.
So
which is
the fix.
$10,000 to $15,000.
And you
for
probably can't fix it down there, or do you got to bring it to surface? How does that work?
No, we fix it down there. The only thing we really don't do underground is major rebuilds, and that's just because we have the option to drive them out. It's a long drive. It takes an hour from the main area to actually drive them all the way out. The portal entrance is about an hour train.
Transportation becomes an issue.
Yeah, it's 12 to 15 miles underground to get out the portal. And a machine that only goes 6 kilometers an hour, 7 kilometers an hour, it takes a long, long time.
Heavy
And
earth movers.
yeah, and they traveling. You're traveling through 2 other mines to get out as well. So you're not. You have to deal with all the traffic in those mines and dealing with their haul traffic and their light vehicle traffic and inspection.
Everything's scheduled
Yeah,
properly. Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense.
It's not the quickest
It was
process.
fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down. We wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer.
So that happens. It breaks. You got to send a human down. You're not always going to get something fixed.
Yeah, especially like surface boreholing like that too. Like if you keep going down, it keeps breaking. There most of the time, like the reason why they sent human activity down there is because they're trying to figure out why they can't build their underground base. Most places would just give up and try to move to a different location, right? Like try to move the drill hole over, but
Clearly,
they
need that spot. Yeah,
they need it in that exact spot. So now they have to go down and investigate, like, well, what kind of rock or what are we hitting? What's going on? Why do our drill bits keep getting destroyed? And in that case, he's in a basket. I'm sure it's not even an enclosed thing. So even scarier, he gets down to the bottom and there's go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What's going on? Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something.
And again, like he's using terms Green Beret and Black Beret. Back in the day when I first heard these terms, people were saying that's bullshit. That doesn't exist. So I had to do my own research and look at it. And yeah, so in the 80s, this was the terminology that Army brats would use around the base as common everyday language. It's not exactly language that you'd see on paper, but it is language that you would use in this time, in this era.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But it also, like you said, also shows his intellectual background, right? Like it shows that if he's a fake, he's a really good one, right? Like
so that's the other question I was going to ask you is like the terminology he's using, is it correct? Is Stove members and the way he's saying these things, is he properly saying it? Like,
so when he's talking about tunneling, like in drifts and stopes, those are all correct terminology. Because like I said, stopes are just basically big canyons. Like we use them for extracting ore, right? They would probably use them for I'm assuming just large cavity spaces for them to enclose themselves, caverns, like and maybe themselves extracting it so they can move more ore quickly. But and I'm sure, being the government, they're not just taking the earth and getting rid of it. They're going to take as much as they can from the earth and make as much money back off of what they're spending.
In your opinion, can you easily build a deep underground military base down and keep going down? Or would there be a point where you're like, this is too much down?
So the farther down you get, the harder it gets to get ventilation. Right. And believe it or not, the farther you go down, the hotter it gets.
This makes sense. Geothermal heating.
Yeah, geothermal, it gets much hotter. So like we're down around a mile and it could easily, there's headings that are easily over 100 degrees, and we're like a more mild case. Like there's another mine, a copper mine that's not far from us, Pumpkin Hollow. That mine is just a little bit more down than us. It's a much smaller scale in size, but their shafts are generally 115 to 130 degrees. And you're talking 50+% humidity on top of that. So it's not
machinery and shit starts to break.
And machinery increases the heat for sure. Like especially all the hydraulics. The hydraulics are hot and they have large fans pushing that heat out, and they require underground machinery to have fucking diesel exhaust fluid, we have to have SCRs on our equipment. So they run regenerations underground, and that produces 1,300, 1,500 degrees out the exhaust pipe on top of that. So
so quite common to have a broken piece of equipment and send somebody down in a cage. This does happen a lot.
Yes.
Something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien greys had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And
400 to 500 years.
So yeah, he's basically going along with the same conspiracy that I've been hearing about Groom Lake, that area of the world in Nevada for forever.
Long time. Yeah, it's always been a hot
That there's
spot.
shit underneath the ground there that's been living there since ancient antiquity. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's weird that the government basically had cordoned off that area right after Wright Patterson had developed some of the things he developed. And like, you look at these people back in the day that were working on the first Area 51 stuff, they were all into black magic, they're all into occult, they're all into weird stuff. So then you get this alien thing, right? I mean,
yeah, don't even get me started on the Freemasons, dog.
yeah, right. So they seem to be holding this knowledge back. If anybody's going to have disclosure first, they've already seemed to have it.
Yes.
We drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk and all this soot came up. Well, that's when it all hell broke out.
So do you run into pockets of stinky air or different stuff underneath the ground?
You can definitely run into pockets of bad things. There's pockets of methane. There's pockets of CO2. You can run into all sorts of, like, we ran into pockets of arsenic, and there's all sorts of bad things. It's definitely, you never know what you're going to run into because of all the geothermal activity and all of the natural resources underground. We don't know exactly where everything is, right? So, like, we have a general idea when we drill, but if we take all our samples and we drill and we don't hit that pocket while we're drilling, it's not going to happen. Like, we hit a pocket, a natural aquifer that we had no idea existed. We had drilled and thought, okay, we're going to plan this stope here. And then when we blew it up, we hit a natural aquifer and it flooded half of our mine for almost a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Out of commission and dangerous.
Yeah. Like, and you can only pump out so much water. So
now, like, you got an entire different operation going on.
Yeah. Well, that comes down to environmental licensing. The environment only, the EPA only allows you to.
Well, and I think you were telling me
recycle so much water, and your
two guys that drove into a gas pocket.
Yes, and so that happened overseas. There were two geologists that drove in a Mahindra Roxor, which is basically a knockoff Jeep. It looks exactly like the old Jeeps from Jurassic Park.
All right,
but a little bit. Yeah, it's just a Japanese version, like a knockoff version, and
comes apart in 3 parts.
Yeah. They're really cheap and they break a lot. And so they were driving down into a heading and they were just driving in and the machine died. And when the machine died, the one guy got out and made it to the back of the vehicle before he asphyxiated and died. And the passenger of the vehicle never even made it out of the vehicle. Shit. They drove into a really bad pocket of no air. And this was a heading that had been used recently. So it wasn't like they had any alert to bring any sort of extra attention into the heading.
So the passenger basically crashed, took a breath, and died.
Yeah.
And the other guy tried to crawl out, died in the back.
Yeah, and everything underground is diesel. So if it doesn't run, you know that it's a lack of oxygen underground, pretty much. I mean, 99% of the time, if a vehicle dies underground, it's from a lack of oxygen. And, to get the fuck out. And it's happened a few times. We've had our lube truck die in headings before, pull into headings and stall and not start. And it's like, yep, time to get out, right? Like, time to get them out now. You don't just
sit there and try and go. You actually go, okay, time to go.
You get your stuff, you inform somebody, and you get out of that heading as fast as you can. You follow the vent bag over your head, and you follow it out to the direction where it's putting air in.
So that's protocol. If you look up, you can see the vent bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really
trippy, Kevin.
Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes,
this heading on the bottom says Preparedness Expo 1995. If anybody was curious, when this interview actually went place was in 1995.
2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment and special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation. And you literally blast out or tunnel out.
Yeah.
So even the way he said the analyzation of the rock formation, he's letting you know that there's a step.
It all depends. Yeah, it all depends on what kind of rock you're dealing with, on how you blast it and how you handle it.
Yeah, man. Like, I can't see this guy
not
knowing his technical stuff. Like,
no, he's definitely talking like a geologist would.
And if he was putting on his show back in the day and lying, he definitely was using real information with whatever he's lying about.
He did a lot of research. He did a lot of research on terminology and things like that.
Deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst.
7 feet's crazy. Usually you hear about grays being like little dudes, man.
That'd be terrifying, dude. Like,
I'm only 5'5", bro. If I seen a 7-foot tall alien, I'd be like, yo.
Even me, I'm 6 foot, dude. Like that,
right?
Oh man,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about grays being tall like that very often. If you do, they're usually like the one in charge on the UFO or something.
Garbage can.
Right.
You can imagine.
And the stench, I've heard stench before related with aliens, for sure.
Weird part.
Some people don't ever report smells, but some people definitely report them smelling really, really, really terrible.
And it's a good mention because even in the Bible or way back to the day, there's always this cyanide smell or sulfur. There's like associated with it. Right?
Yes, 100%.
And then if you look at plasma, the fourth state of energy, when it ionizes the air, it actually leaves that smell. So there's something there, right? Like
absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time reaching on a pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all one of these big submachine guns and all the sea spray and the yellow root and all
the sea spray, yellow fruit. He would know terms like that.
Security people carried.
Now he needs to know military stuff and geology stuff. Like
this was in late August of 1979. Now you got a regular suit of clothes. You got a regular
79, so you think about it, I was saying 95, even though the interview is taking place right now in 95, the incident he's talking about took place in 79.
16 years prior. So, I mean, and then it's just more and more proof that the government has known what's going on for a long time.
And how do you hold on to a story for 16 years and still go around with your, we'll get to that part, but.
Yeah. I mean, that's
almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in.
That's true. Being in a tunnel is terrifying. It's just like being in space.
And they do die.
Yeah, so when you go down there, you're in a full suit. You're not like exposed in many ways, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say full suit, but they require us to wear long sleeves, and we have pants, and we have to wear reflectives, and then we have to have our hard hats, and you have to have safety glasses, and you have to have gloves on, and you have to have your
so at least you don't have to wear like a full Tyvek suit or anything.
No, but your mine belt probably weighs about 8 pounds. You either have a waist mine belt or you have a suspender style mine belt, which I have like a suspender style one because I'd rather wear it on my shoulders personally than on my waist. It carries your self-rescuer and it carries your geo tag where it shows where you're at throughout the mine and has to have those things on there. And then like me personally, I carry some crescent wrenches on there and stuff because it's a lot easier to have them at my disposal than to you can fix a lot of stuff underground with crescent wrenches. You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Good set of crescent wrenches go a long way.
In the process,
go a long way.
One of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish. And burnt my fingers right off of me.
So you can see
it was some form
clearly
of
his fingers are
missing because
that still gets me every time.
By a lightning bolt, burned all.
This is what shocked me when I was a kid, and I seen this when I was probably 19 years old when I first seen him. I was like, this is a fun story, and then he showed me his hand, and I'm like, okay, this is not a fun story anymore. This is a little bit intense.
And you notice when you watch the video, he's really good about not lifting up that hand until he's ready to say, like, to speak about it. Like, you don't notice it the whole video. Like, you notice it, though, like, he's not moving that hand around very much. It's his right arm. And then when he gets to that point, he shows you, like, look, here's some proof.
I'm curious to see if somebody who does speech analyzing for a living or analysts for a living, has gone through his case or watched this video and analyzed it. I'll have to look to see, but man, because this guy's body language tells me that he's not lying either. He believes his lie like 110% if he is. You know what I mean? Like,
hold on.
Your dog's good.
I'm just making sure.
Get the pooch on the Def X Files.
Kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt.
Burnt his shoe off. I mean, so.
Crispy crittered my left foot. Burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret.
And here, I want to make another point, guys. Like, in 1995, nobody is trying to make an internet personality to get rich. Nobody's doing this stuff for money in 1995, and he didn't write a book.
No.
Exactly. He was right behind me. Risked his life. In fact, he died. He risked his life to shove me back in the past and hit the button.
Saved his life for him.
The only other person doing this kind of stuff in 1995, there are a few, but Bob Lazar. And still, his case holds up today, right?
Bob Lazar.
Going around spending their own money to do expos and tell the world.
Yes. Jeremy Corbett.
Crack troops lost their lives.
There you go.
Because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious.
And I could imagine if you're somebody who's a geologist building a base for the military, you have a need to know basis. They're not going to tell you anything that's going on deeper than whatever you're working with at the time, unless you run into it on site. And then it would become, okay, let's brief this man. Let's take him this direction with it. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world,
which explains all the downdrafts.
Constant conflict with the outer space aliens.
What they're running into in Skinwalker Ranch.
Right? And then, I'll bring up this point. A lot of people are like, oh, it's impossible. You couldn't take down a UFO. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What about in the 60s and the 80s, and the 70s, when we used to airburst nukes? Do you think airbursting a nuke in the atmosphere wouldn't take down a random UFO flying?
How about the government files that said that they have shot down UFOs?
With radiation, or radar, sorry.
And how do you explain the battle over Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's actually a crazy one. Because they sat there and fired at something in the sky for like hours. And
it was forever. Down. Yes.
And then all of a sudden it just stopped. Like,
and then they're like, oh, it was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I always forget about, bro. And
how do they just say it's nothing, dog? Like they wasted that much ammunition. That's a lot of money, bro. They don't fire like that unless there's really
people
a threat.
People died on the ground from shit falling.
Yeah. They only do that if they really felt like there was a threat.
Yeah. And it happened at night. Yeah, that's a trippy one. We're gonna have to look at a video on that one very soon.
The whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. One had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground there, the Pleiadians. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. With some of you.
See, and like I said, I'd like to know how big that group size is.
Yeah, there's probably about, I'd say, 30 or 40 people there. I wouldn't say it's very popular at the time, and I'd say that he's working really hard to get people to listen.
Yes.
Where by the time he died, I guess. At that point, when you're called a suicide, especially in his case, he was found with a catheter wrapped around his neck, tied from the back. The investigator, the private investigator, said that it was very suspicious, but there's nothing he can go on.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, even with the evidence that you have to say suicide, because even though it's kind of hard to take a fucking thing and tie it around the back of your neck, and then this doesn't make sense.
Epstein?
Yeah,
I'll leave that one there.
Exactly.
I'll leave that one right there.
Exactly. Why doesn't Jeffrey Epstein have a
Yeah.
big contusion on his forehead from jumping off the bed and not hitting the corner? Good point.
That's another stream.
For another stream, for sure.
Raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and some of the, very good, about half the group.
Yeah, there's always been helping aliens, dog. Always through history.
Billy Meyer is one of these lucky people that they figured, well, he's kind of a simple type.
Man, there's written proof of it through time.
These are the
right
benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. Fact,
and he shows up this picture of Valiant Thor. This guy's been seen in rooms for years in all kinds of Pentagon pictures from the 60s and 70s, and all of a sudden he just kind of disappears. But there is a conspiracy theory
attached. Doesn't that always seem to happen? Everybody just seems to kind of disappear when they get outed, right? Like when they're like, oh, well, you know what, we can't use you anymore because now people know you exist and people are starting to believe you exist. So
this is the thing. There seems to be a second group of people that are more important than the presidents, than everybody in their career politicians that stick around, or people that they have their jobs for life, basically.
Yeah.
Where the president's done after 8 years or 4 years, these men are still sticking around at the desks with the data that they've had before every president. So they're the ones who are accumulating the information, basically. And most of that information has been dubbed out to private companies. So when you go to do an FOI, or Freedom of Information Act, and try and get the information back, you can't even apply for the information because it's a private company. You can apply for a Freedom of Information Act from your government and anything they've done, but you can't do that when they've sold the information to a private entity.
Or when they're having a private entity get the information for them, and then they're just not, then they don't have to necessarily classify it.
This is third-party contracting. That's half the reason people do it. I mean, it's liabilities, right?
Yep.
I have a picture. Let me reach for it here.
Yeah, so that was Philip Schneider, again, found with a catheter wrapped around the back of his neck. What did you think of that, Kevin? Did you think what his story was believable? Did you think it land on any fake? Did you feel any fake stuff at all?
No, not really. I mean, like you said, I think the hardest point for anybody to say yes or no on is going to be the pictures. Like,
you're right.
The picture is just going to be the one thing that's hard to prove or say either way. But all of his terminology, the way he speaks about being underground, all of those things, they all lead to authenticity, at least in my opinion, versus him being not honest. Even like I said, even the way he talks about the headspace you're in when you're going down there, right? Like when you're going underground and that feeling, right? That's all authentic to me, and I know because I can relate to it 100%.
Yeah.
And
see, it's funny because you actually have an extra way to verify this, being that he used terminology. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to watch this with you, because you work with underground materials, you work under the ground. So you'd know and be able to call that bullshit. When I watched his video, I went, he's either a man who's telling the truth or a man who's so crazy he believes he's telling the truth. But from your perspective, he is telling the truth. Now it's just crazy you're left with. So that's where you kind of go, okay, maybe he's not, or maybe he is. This is a 50-50 case. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you have to be open-minded, though, right? Like, you just can't. And that's the problem with most people out there. Unfortunately, they're just.
Well, even the injuries. He could have had an electrical injury at work that did that to him, too.
That is true. He could have had an arc flash. An arc flash could have definitely made that happen to him. But again, just leads to the authenticity of his story, though. I mean, I don't see him being if he's a geologist in real life, which is verifiable by his background, right?
He actually
is. He's not going to be dealing with high electrical shocks. So why would he have gotten shocked like that?
There's actually pictures of his documentation on the internet of him with his geologist badges. Everything's out. You can find it. So they're not denying that he was a geologist at all.
And that's what I'm saying. There's no reason in a geologist position, though.
Right?
Yeah, like in a geologist position, there's no reason at all that you would be in close contact with electricity like that. I mean, we do run 480 volts underground, which is pretty common. But again, the normal person is not exposed to that. Like, you're not dealing with that. You're not going to be around it. Like, unless there was a live cable in a puddle or something, I mean, and he stepped in it, that would be about the only way that could cause that. What he has, and he was maybe holding on to the metal netting in the underground, because we do have to net it, right? Maybe if he was holding on to the netting and he walked into a puddle that had an active cable, you could definitely explain why his fingers were gone and why his hand was burnt.
You could come up with the accident realistically if you had to, yes.
Yes, you could. So it is a 50-50, but the authenticity behind the way he speaks just sits. I tend to lean more a little bit above 50% on this one for me towards believability.
Right. I mean, when you start to look at these underground tunnels, even some of the tunnels that we can look at on the internet.
And see, you got to think about it too. That's definitely going to be like military style tunneling, which are perfect circles, but that requires a tunneling machine.
What he was talking about, the flagger or whatever that is.
Yeah, right? But no, they were talking about traditional mining. Like, look up, just look up like an underground mine.
Okay.
Look up an underground gold mine, for example. You'll see a big difference in what it looks like.
Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, all right. Now I'm getting an idea of.
And go to like large scale. See, that doesn't even have netting. That's old school. That's like not modern at all.
Abandoned, basically.
Yeah, all modern underground mining is sheathed with netting all the way around the saw. Okay, so there you go. Go back a picture. That's a drill. That's what we call a jumbo. So those are long hole drills, not necessarily super long hole, but they drill 12 feet, and that's what we use for advancing headings. So that's what you see. There you go. There's some netting. You see the netting in the concrete on the left side of the image there.
Yes, I do.
That is, yeah. So that's how this is how modern underground gold mining is done. Everything is netted like this. Everything is supported. There you go. That's a dual arm jumbo, which we use as well. And that's what they're doing is they're putting they're drilling holes and then for advancement right there. And then they're going to load that with powder and blow it up and advance that section.
That's
and
dope.
The beginning section, then basically the other machine, there's an underground haul truck and an underground loader. That's probably a 30, maybe a little bit smaller, 20-ton haul truck, and looks like it's about a 6 or 7 yard loader.
Interesting, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that's a lot what it looks like. There you go. We run into that too, where there's areas where it gets tight.
Where you basically
if you're in super hard rock too, they don't use nearly as much netting. Like, it all depends on the ground quality. If you're in like really, really hard rock, or even salt is super hard. So when they mine in salt, they don't use any supporting at all. They just carve the salt out, and the salt is the support. And
what?
Yes, and that's why. So the number one killer of salt mines is water, right? Like, you'll have to look it up. There was a salt mine in the United States. It was the largest known waterfall ever in the United States. And it was a mine that was created in underneath or near a lake, and there was a lake that they were drilling for oil in. And this is in the 80s, and the oil rig drilled through and punctured the mine, and it filled the mine with salt, and the entire mine basically drained the entire lake into this, sucking everything down around the city. And then it drew. There was a current. There it is, right there. That first picture. The very first picture, all the way to the left, what looks like the whirlpool.
What?
Yeah, I guarantee you, it literally sucked it sucked oil rigs in, it sucked all sorts of things in.
Oh my God, bro, that's actually insane.
Bro,
I'm thinking this is like a fake ass picture, and it is, but it's giving you an idea of what happened.
Yeah, it literally sucked in the entire, like 3 entire oil rig, everything inside the lake, all the boats, everything that was inside the lake were sucked in, and none of it was ever seen again. And it reversed the water flow, dude. That was a natural.
That's a real picture, bro, or some shit.
That was a freshwater lake, dog, and it reversed the water flow from that lake to the ocean, to where the ocean backfed back into it, and now it's a saltwater lake.
Man, that gives me anxiety, bro. That's crazy.
It completely changed the entire ecosystem in that area. Everything. It was wild. It happened in the 80s. It was absolutely crazy.
44 years since the drilling incident that created a sinkhole in Lake Pergolene.
There you go. Remnants, and now it's a saltwater lake. Nothing can survive in it.
That's
none of the natural. It killed a bunch of but nobody died, bro. It was crazy. Nobody died. Everybody managed to get out.
So they did get safety, obviously.
yeah. So as soon as somebody saw water, and that's the thing, in salt mines, if you see water, that's a no-no. It should be absolutely dry. So if you see salt, if you see water on the salt mines, there's a problem, and you need to like start getting people out now because salt dissolves in water, and that's all of the ground support.
So you basically have a limited amount of time before everything's gone.
Yeah, salt dissolves really fast. So yeah, sinkholes are crazy too. But yeah, like there you go, big caverns like that. So that's what it would look like underground when they talk about those big caverns or rooms. That's what that would look like. It
So
would
when
look like
Philip was talking about a developing site that was ready to be basically built in, this is it.
Yes, they would do that. Now, sometimes like these bunkers, like if it's going to be a government facility, they would concrete all that in with like to make it more reinforced bunker style, right? And assuming it's the government and they wanted to put an underground base there, that's the way it would be built. It would be built like all of the other underground bases that are around the United States and other countries. Like there's all sorts of them.
So these are basically everywhere, and people don't really realize that DUMBs, deep underground military bases, are all over North America, Canada.
All over.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. There's one under the fucking White House, dog. They threw that out. Like that got called out in the early 2000s, and proof came out of it. It was a big underground bunker for the president and fallout shelter and shit. And now it's a museum and a tour site because they can't use it anymore because it got outed. That's how it goes.
Very interesting.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna head on over to the John Lear 1987 KTLA 8 News Now Las Vegas clip. I got to give a big shout out to George Knapp for being a huge supporter of the UFO thing over the years, taking a lot of hits on the chin, working with Jeremy Corbell, going through some of the hardest interviews that you could ever see a person go through and asking some of the hardest questions in Congress and getting people to ask some of the hardest questions. So big shouts out.
Yes, sir.
Salute that man.
He deserves all of it.
Hell yeah. Classic. This is the way they used to bring the news to us.
Yeah, that's right. It was jamming, dog.
On the record, bro. With the
look at that.
Being on the news back in the day would have been cool. Not now.
Yeah. Now it's the lore.
Look at George with his hair. Look at this guy.
Yeah, looking awesome.
Telling us for years that they're not real. They're weather balloons or swamp gas or reflections
Billy Myers photo
or the ravings of lunatics. But serious UFO researchers say a breakthrough may be very close. Some of the government scientists who worked on the top
This is one of the Billy Myers photos that people say is fake. It's called the wedding cake. That's another Billy Myers photo.
I've seen these photos.
Federal files, documents that
paint
some of the most famous UFO phenomenon.
I just didn't know the name associated with them, but I've definitely seen the photos.
His name is John Lear, and he is my guest today. Mr. Lear, thanks for being here.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this video as well.
The Out There poster is Billy Myers' picture.
Captain. You have held
They're out there, that poster.
world speed records at one time or another. You're a member of the famous Lear family that all Nevadans are pretty much familiar with.
Obviously, John Lear's family developed jets.
You don't sound like the kind of guy who would get hooked up in something that a lot of people would say is a bunch of nonsense.
No, it's just
Boeing, I think I was out to field on that, actually. It's a Learjet, you're right.
Really interested in this about 2 years ago. My father saw a UFO, and my brother did. And they were very interested, but there was really no proof, as far as I was concerned, to really look into it until about 2 years ago.
Your father and brother saw them. Can you give details?
My brother saw one. He was flying a P-38 from Phoenix to Los Angeles at night. It just appeared in front of him. He made two turns.
Sounds very typical for UFOs.
Funny it's Phoenix because the Phoenix.
Well, UFOs, yeah, lots in Phoenix too.
I believe
it's all around this Arizona desert, dude, Nevada desert.
So you started
before the time that we had very good technology.
How did you start out?
I had an interest, but there was really nothing I could.
It's always been a thing.
Like I say, 2 years
anywhere
ago,
where there's vast
emptiness. Came through town. We had flown into Southeast Asia together. He was retiring from the Air Force.
Or nuclear facility sites.
Yeah, nuclear. They're very common around nuclear facility sites.
And he mentioned that he had been stationed at Bentwaters. And I said, oh, Bentwaters, that's where the flying saucer supposedly was in 1980. He said, no, John, not supposedly, it was. He said, I don't care if you believe me or not. It landed. I didn't see it because we were confined to quarters. I know people who did.
You hear a lot of professional confirmation from one professional to another.
Yeah.
Since then,
Well, they're
I
afraid to
ran into one of the
talk
security
internally
police
about it,
who was within 10 feet of the saucer and actually saw the three
especially
aliens get
pilots,
out
because there was a big
and
fear
go
around
up to
pilots that
General
if you
Gordon
spoke
Williams,
about it, you'd lose
who
your
was the
wings. You wouldn't be able to
wing
fly
commander
anymore.
at that time.
Yep.
Now, there's quite a bit of
They still live in fear
documentation
because they
Yeah.
could be looked at crazy for saying these things, right?
There's the Colonel Halt memo that came out under the Freedom of Information Act, and it told about the mysterious lights and beaming down and everything that happened in the forest except the actual alien landing. That wasn't in the memo. And there was also the tape, Colonel Halt tape, forest tape, that he made over a period of 8 hours. And there's a 20-minute segment that we've been able to get a hold of that you can hear him running through the forest and being worried, saying the things after us.
Now, why do you suppose that hasn't come out? I mean, this particular incident, why hasn't come out? If so many people, and you've told me about this before, have seen it or seen these aliens, why haven't some of them come forward?
A lot of them have come forward, but they're just not getting any press. It's something that people just don't want to deal with.
And of course, John Lear knows he's going to get called crazy coming out in 1987.
Listen to something.
Yeah,
unless,
for sure. Same thing like Bob
Dan
Lazar.
Rather or any of your
when you're
big,
successful and
press
you have
people
money,
are
though,
gonna tell
I don't think
about
you'd care. You
And
just say what you
they're
think is
just
true.
too spooked. The Air Force has made an art form of ridiculing people who have talked about this thing. They've done an excellent job of covering it up for the last 40 years. George, basically what we're dealing with here is, I'll give you the bottom line.
Okay,
I'm not trying to sell it.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm not trying to sell a book. I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I have found out that the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers. 3 of
10 and
which
15, and it's
perfect
87.
condition.
So how many now?
Tried to fly.
More
They
than
have
that.
between 30 and 50 alien bodies in cryogenic
No,
storage.
that's probably a lot harder now,
We
too.
even have the name of the person whose job it is to show these bodies to the heads of state and the people who are authorized to see them. They represent at least 5 different civilizations.
I can't imagine Dan Rather or Tom Brokaw, if that were to come to their attention, a story of that magnitude, that they would do something with it.
Well, I can't answer that question. I don't know why they don't do it. There certainly is enough evidence based on what I've looked at. For instance, the Linda Moulton Howe documentary.
Was it religious time too? I think a lot of people thought it was alien, like demonic. They thought aliens
It still kind of is. That's the big fear, right? Once they announce aliens are real, so it's going to break so many different cultures.
Now the government said.
But what is demon? The word demon is a derivative of dimension. Is it just something from another dimension?
Very possible.
Picture of these somewhere.
Right?
Maybe we can see that.
It's funny how the old Latin words play out the science words and then confuse the tongue.
This is the mutilation. New Mexico State Police did the research on, or the investigation on it, and they cut out certain parts with a, and the cut was made.
This happens all
with
the
a
time
laser
still
beam
too.
far
Even
sharper than
Skinwalker
anything we
just
have.
happened
As a
like
matter of
last
fact,
a couple
they
years
were
ago
able
on the
to
Skinwalker
determine
Ranch.
They cut between the cells and didn't cut the cells.
They've made
themselves.
videos
We
on
presently
Skinwalker
have
that have
this
literally just been
technology.
taken from them because they're not allowed to show us. Like,
We
Well,
don't
even
know
like-
that we have
even
this
when,
kind of technology, or you and I don't know that we don't. That doesn't prove
when he got
necessarily
hit with the
that it's,
radiation at
ET.
No,
Homestead
except
too.
that, there's
Oh, yeah,
usually
yeah,
a visual sighting of a
Gave
flying
him
saucer
burns.
or a light,
Yeah.
a strange light at each one of these sightings.
Okay, you mentioned the saucers and the bodies. Now, what kind of proof do you have that is true? How do you know that?
where's the
Well,
proof,
let me take a
John?
look.
Give us
Let
the
me read
proof.
to you first, what the
Let's
Air
see the
Force
proof.
says about the bodies. First of all, I'm going to read from the Introductory Space Science, Volume 2, Department of Physics, United States Air Force. This is Chapter 13, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, this is what the Air Force has the students at the Air Force Academy read. And it says, the most commonly described alien is about 3.5 feet tall, has a round head, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a
See,
silver
in the
space
80s,
suit or
this is what you
coveralls.
had to read to go
Other
in.
aliens
Hey,
appear to be
this is
essentially
what
the same
Steven
as
Spielberg
Earth,
used for
while
the
still
disclosure. He took
others
that
have
right there
particularly
and
wide,
just fucking made it
wrap-around
movie.
eyes and mouths with very thin lips. And there was a
Fuck the
rare
shit.
group reported to be about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair for clothing. Members of
Bro,
this
how do they
last group
close this
are
shit?
described as
Thick
being
hair for
shrunk.
clothing.
Now, I'm not making this up. This is an Air Force. You can pick out an Air Force physics book and read this stuff. And at the end of the chapter, they go on to say, this leads us to believe in the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs.
Unpleasant.
Now, the
Why is it
picture that we
unpleasant? I
have
think it's
Yeah.
scary if we were alone, bro.
of the big
Because they
head
have any
the Air
information
Force
on it at all, and
described.
they're publishing it,
Um,
and then they know
this
they're
picture
real.
was
So why
drawn
would they
by
would
an
finish it
Army
with,
surgeon.
well, if they are real,
These are
you
one
know,
of the
like,
bodies that was recovered
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
it's the
famous
constant
Roswell
play of
incident
back
of
and forth and
1947.
annoying
yeah.
as
Tell
hell.
us about that.
That's why
It was
people
the
get
first
annoyed by
flying
this
saucer
subject.
that crashed.
You
and
won't
was
ever see me and
recovered
Kevin
by,
doing the back and
the
forth,
Army.
okay?
No.
It was covered up. There has been
I'm
several
all
books
in.
about it.
The
They've
only
covered
reason we
4
started this is
beings.
because we're in.
And one
Yeah.
of the
And we took
surgeons
years to
that was
make sure that
responsible for the autopsy
we were in. And
drew
this
that
isn't just some
picture
weird
and
subject.
came up with some of these
Problem is the
interesting
UFOs
things
aren't
in
going
the
anywhere.
autopsy on
No,
this
they're
Rudy
not.
couple.
Crop
3.5,
circles
4
aren't
young
going
people
anywhere.
called,
All these
brown eyes,
megalithic
without
structures in
pupils,
the
no
past aren't
earlobes,
going
noses
anywhere.
vague,
How can we explain
neck
any of
described
this
to be
stuff, dog?
thin,
Like, come on.
Machu Picchu's not going
arms
anywhere.
described long
No.
and thin, reaching down
Buckley
to the knee
Tepe
section.
ain't
You can
going
see that there's a
nowhere.
wet portion.
The things
the
under
hands,
the Egyptian
no
pyramids
teeth,
aren't
no
going
hair,
anywhere, but
reproductive
Zahi
organs,
he is going
Yeah.
to die soon.
brainless
So,
capacity unknown,
What about
colorless
the
liquid
Nazca
prevalent in the
lines?
body without red cells,
Man,
no
when
oocytes. And there's more.
when Zahi was on
This is an
Joe Rogan
autopsy report. And you
podcast,
said the
and he's
government
like, "What? How do
goes
you
to
prove
great
it?"
lengths,
He's like,
the Air
"It's in
Force
my
in
book."
particular, to
How do you
discredit
prove it
this
though?
kind
It's
of
in
stuff.
my
Where
book.
did this come from? How did you get
Yeah,
that?
That
your
came
book's
from
not
a
forever.
private. That came from the private collection of Leonard Springfield, who was one of the premier researchers. He worked for the Air Force in the early 50s
He looks very
in a
uncomfortable.
secret project
Yeah.
reporting UFOs. Then, as a civilian, he continued
Yeah,
his private research.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he looks like
Go ahead.
he looks like he wants to say it, but he's also uncomfortable because he knows that it's gonna cause some problems.
To me, he's a successful man. He's John Lear, so the son of the guy who created the Lear jet.
Yeah.
He must have had a bone to pick to come out to say this in the first place. Somebody must have had a conversation with him and pissed him off, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna come out and say it, and you guys can all sit in the room of fake people who don't want to admit what's going on, but I'm not gonna be that guy. You know what I mean?
And this is out of his collection.
Why does the government want to hide this? Why doesn't the Air Force just come forward? Why doesn't why don't they?
He was
level
very
with us if
ridiculed
this
for
is
this
all true?
interview.
Well, there's not really much they could say based on what I've been able to find out. George, they're really, what could they say about it? They've been researching it for many, many years, and based on my information, let's say that the president decided to make an announcement. This is, if he made it today, this is what I think that he would say. My fellow Americans, I come to you before you tonight with an announcement of great importance. Despite all our denials, flying saucers in fact exist. Where they come from, we do not know. Who is in them, we do not know. Where they are from, we do not know, nor do we know how they got here or what they want. We are unable to duplicate any of the metals found on the several craft we have recovered, nor are we able to figure out how they are propelled. We have hidden these facts from you over the past 40 years in hopes that we could give you more answers. Unfortunately, we are no closer to answers today than we were 40 years ago. God bless you.
Which they're probably
In
still
other words,
there
you
right
find it
now.
highly unlikely that
Yeah,
the
they
president
are.
would ever
You know
make
they
this.
are.
Still confused that we don't have the material science to back
It's
engineer
too
some
big.
of the crafts.
It's massive. The problem is not only just the fact that there are five, and as many as 10 different civilizations visiting us. Apparently, and this is from the research that I've done, at least 90% of them are hostile. And when I say hostile, if not hostile, they have a completely different set of morals than we do.
Okay, I tell you. Welcome back. UFOs, are they real? We're talking to John Lear on the subject. Mr. Lear mentioned a couple of minutes ago about what the president might say about UFOs. Do you believe that various presidents have been informed about what you believe to be the truth on UFOs?
Each president has been informed up to and including President Reagan. I'm not sure to the extent they are informed. Privately, I don't believe they are giving the full briefing. The people that control this information is a organization that we know of as MJ-12. And
MJ-12, the Majestic 12, yeah.
Group of military and scientists. And I do know that when the president,
Which now
becomes
is
president,
technically, I think,
it
turned
takes
into
at
the
least
Five
3 or 4
Eyes.
months
Like,
before
Yeah.
it actually gets the clearance to know everything there is. That doesn't mean they tell it. It does take 3 or 4 months to get. Now, talking to the president, let's talk about what the president has actually said. Has he mentioned anything about it?
President Reagan.
President Reagan on December 4th, 1985. This is a copy of the speech from the White House just before he went over to Iceland. He says, I couldn't but one point in our discussions privately with Secretary General Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children, wherever we may live in this world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings.
Why would you
that we
say
held.
wherever we live
If
in this
suddenly there
world?
was a threat in this world
Right.
from some other species, from another planet outside in the universe,
He
we'd
gave
forget
that
all our
speech.
local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
He couldn't be just making a supposition.
Yeah, like if we
for
were
purpose
attacked
of
by
making a
aliens,
point.
we'd probably all unite.
You're saying he's
Like,
trying to tell us something.
Well, here, 1 week ago at the 42nd General Assembly in front of the UN.
Yeah, exactly.
September
That's
21st.
exactly what it sounds like.
He says, in our obsession with the antagonism of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside, universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force not already among us? Now, this is right out of the White House speech.
trying
I'm
to
not making this up.
It's
What
like
did
the
he mean by
president
this
doesn't
alien
have
force? I
the
mean, does it say? Does he go on
clearance
to say
to tell
Yeah,
the
he
people.
says,
It's fucked up.
what could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our people than war and the threat of war? But the point is, why would he even bring up aliens? I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
far out for the president of the
Yeah,
United
good point,
States
yeah.
to be mentioned threats from outer space.
Great
Okay, what
point.
about President Carter?
President Carter, we have the quote from Carter when he was during his election campaign.
I haven't heard this. So
If
I
I
don't
become
remember.
president, I'll make every piece of information this country has about UFO sightings available to the public and the scientists. I am convinced that UFOs exist because I have seen one.
You don't
Jimmy
make
Carter
a
says
statement
he
like
saw
that
one.
unless you.
That's Jimmy Carter. He saw one.
Yeah.
But he
You're
didn't,
all in,
he didn't
like
tell
us.
us, did he?
He doesn't. The pressure is enormous on these people that cover this stuff up.
How can that be? Are they afraid of a panic? That people would panic?
There's the panic problem, and there's also the problem that, in fact, in Cro-Mag and man, there may have been some tinkering to make us what we are today.
Yeah.
You'd be
That's, been
excommunicated
borne out
from
by,
society, of course.
Several researchers.
Yeah.
We couldn't have developed,
Especially if
exactly
you're a
the missing
professional.
link. Something had to happen to get us going. Between 4,000 and 8,000 BC, we had just been going along and for hundreds of thousands of years not doing anything. All of a sudden, bang, started making pottery, invented the wheel.
This is the
invented
point
fire,
that we
and
were making
everything took
earlier.
off.
How all of a
What was
sudden
the key that
we
did that?
evolved overnight.
I don't know, but it
didn't
costs
take
one to think.
long.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago before the break that you think 90% of these visitors are hostile. What makes you think that?
Well,
Doesn't fit with what we think of as ET, you know?
if you read some of these books that are on the newsstand, one is called Intruders, one is called Communion. They
Whitley
apparently come
Strieber's
down,
Communion.
and when I say apparently, this is taken from 300 hypnosis cases. A friend of mine has done 140.
300.
And the people are being
I've heard about
abducted.
this,
They're
too.
taken up into a saucer. Usually
A
lasts
lot of
about
people
an hour.
have been
They
regressed.
do all kinds of
and
experiments.
said
They
the
give
same
them shots. They poke them.
Which
Yep.
makes me believe
They
that
cut them. They do all
the
kinds of things. They
person
wipe out their
hypnotizing them
memory
isn't
and send it
installing
back.
the information, or
Only
they wouldn't all be
after
saying
several
the same
months
thing.
of some psychological
You'd have to get all
problems,
these
they
hypnotists
end up going
together
to
and make them
psychiatrists.
organized and
And
get
the
them in on the
psychiatrist,
conspiracy.
on
Think
trying
about
to
that.
find out what
Like,
the problem is, in the use of hypnosis, finds out that this person has been abducted.
What's the reason for that? What are they trying to learn?
There's three things that they're trying to do with these abductions. The first thing is they're trying to monitor us.
Hybridization.
It started in the early
Yep.
40s, and they put a little unit, a very small BB-type object, way up in the backside of the brain, and they'd leave it there for about 18 years.
Yep.
They'd pick them up and put it in about
Yep,
4
heard
years
all
old.
this.
wow,
12
that's
years
crazy.
old,
I didn't hear the
pick 'em up
18-year
and
thing.
monitor
That's
it,
nuts.
and about 18, they'd take it out. The second thing they did
Yeah.
is they put a post-hypnotic suggestion.
Because you hear about
according
like
to
implants, but you don't hear
many
about
of the,
removals by the aliens
No.
people
themselves.
that have
Every
been
once in a while, you
hypnotized,
hear
and
about
we
people
found
who
out
have
what they've
lifelong,
told them.
like
Apparently,
generational
within the next 2 to 5
abductions,
years,
where
there's
like their
gonna be a
family members have been
big
being abducted
event.
for
Something
years, and they've been
enormous is
having
gonna happen.
things
And these people have been
surgically
makes
put
abducted,
in
sense.
and
them,
there's
and
probably over
that you
100,000
actually picked the
have been
microchip
given
up
some
after
place
because
to
you want
go
to retrieve
and
the
something
data.
to do.
Like,
But
they
under
probably
best
don't have a
hypnotic
remote
techniques,
way
they
of
cannot
getting that
find
data,
out
and most
what it is.
So how do we
self-sufficient
know?
energy devices
true.
are collecting their own data on
Because
their
they
own. You have
said
to go get them
Yeah.
after.
they're going to
Like,
do
it's hard
something.
to transmit that data.
You
But
wouldn't even want
they
to.
they
Like,
can't find out
No.
exactly what
the
it
amount
is.
of energy you
And the
waste
third
when
thing
you
that
could
they
just
do
pick the
is
specimen
genetic
up again and get
experiments.
your data.
They've been crossbreeding. There's a very good book out now called
We do
Intruders
the same
by
thing
Bud
with
Hopkins.
tagging,
It's
obviously.
about a
Like,
crossbreeding
Yeah.
experiment
pick the
with
tag
a
up and we can see where
girl
they've
in
gone for the last
Indianapolis.
how long.
And they actually the big head, what we call the big head in research, the little 3.5 foot tall with a big head. They crossbreed that with this girl in Indianapolis.
Because this guy's
and
gold
over
watch
7
and wrist
children.
gear, like,
And
they ain't messing
just
around, bro.
last fall,
No.
before the book was published, they brought the oldest and the youngest to show to her, and they let her name all 7. Now, this book has been thoroughly researched by Bud
This is the
Hopkins.
last time. Like, I'm gonna say that I don't know how many times I've heard of somebody being abducted, and then them meeting their children that they had years later after they're abducted again.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
just thousands and thousands and thousands
There's
of these
lots
cases.
of cases. Lots of cases like this.
There's no way that all these women are lying. Again, you would have to, for this to be a conspiracy, you got to get all these people in gymnasiums and get them organized, and then get them in on the conspiracy and get them to lie together, and then tell them all to tell the same lie, and then send them out to the world. It doesn't work.
And then let's talk about like all the missing people.
That too. The missing people thing is a problem. Parks, land communities, that's a fucking problem. The amount of actual humans that we can not say where they went is a problem.
Not account
Planes
for.
disappearing out of the sky, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Boats
Planes
disappearing.
Yes.
Right? The only thing, the next thing I'm willing to say that's probably going to disappear would be like a fucking a satellite or something larger.
And then we can talk about the fucking butterfly effect too, right? Or the like we can talk about how things we remember being named or things being shown, or the Mandela effect. There you go.
So you got Tom Hardys that run adjustment bureaus behind closed doors or opening doors and controlling reality, and people are saying that this is real. And then this person himself refers to himself this way and drives on to Area 51 with anybody he wants anytime. Come on.
You have scientists. You have scientists like Neil Tyson Degrassi who say that it's more probable that we're living in a matrix than it is that things were created the way they were created. And that the percentages are more realistic.
Honestly, then you got Chris Bledsoe. Here's a big name drop. If anybody wants to really dig into something that's untangibly touchable, Chris Bledsoe. One day we'll take the time out, but we're working our way to that, guys.
Sounds strange. Believe me when I tell you, you may not find out in a month, a year, 5 years, or 10 years, but you'll look back at what I'm telling you now, and you'll say to yourself, "My gosh, son of a gun."
You don't sound so crazy anymore.
Well, where's this girl now?
No, did she call you up and say sorry, man? I think he might be dead.
No, she lives in town.
He probably is.
Or just outside of town. She just got married. Bud went to her wedding. We all know who she is. She gets along, just fine. It doesn't mean, but just because she was abducted and gave him children doesn't mean it was the end of the world. It was just part
That's
of
the other thing. Is these people go back to their normal everyday lives.
Yeah.
So
Why don't
we
see a lot of photographic
You're
evidence,
crazy.
many
You're going
cameras,
to end up in a
video
psych
gear?
ward. You're not
Why don't
going
we
to
see a
go,
lot of
okay,
that?
I got to
There
go to work.
are
Before you go on, I know the pictures that we showed in the beginning of this program, you say they're baloney. They're phonies.
That's right. The pictures you showed at the beginning were
he's calling out Billy Myers.
Myers incident. It's called the visitors from Pleiades. And any ufologist worth his salt knows, and who has researched that case,
that they're
knows
probably
that
fake.
he cannot back it up with the negatives and the essential information to prove that something like that happened. So
but there is something strange about Billy Myers.
So in other words, you run into your share of phonies as well in your research.
Absolutely.
It's almost like when someone gets abducted, they become obsessed with their abductor and then spend the rest of their life trying to recreate
stories
it.
to tell that we're just so busy with those.
It's
For instance,
Munchausen syndrome, you know what I mean?
Japan Airlines incident.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take another break, and we'll do that when we come back. Stay with me.
All right, folks, we're just going to skip ahead.
The Japanese airline incident is probably something that's still in the memory of our viewers.
Yeah, the Japanese airline incident was a cargo 747 that had taken off from Iceland flying to Anchorage. And as he passed over the United States border and the northern part of Anchorage, he was intercepted by a UFO
I think Anchorage is
that
in
was
Canada,
twice
or
the
that's Alaska,
size
actually.
of an aircraft
Alaska.
carrier. And he was followed by 40 minutes.
Lots
He
of
made
stuff
a
too. There's
complete
the Alaska Triangle.
360-degree right turn.
The gnome
He made a
cases,
descent of 5,000 feet.
even though that's
Stayed
a
with
you've
him.
heard
movie
of that,
Regardless
right?
of what you hear,
Yeah.
the FAA did
There's
have
a
There's lots
Bermuda
of stuff in
Triangle
the
in the
Alaska
Alaska.
Triangle, and the
We have a
Bermuda
picture
Triangle,
there.
and there's one
This is a
over here
26-page
too, somewhere in
document
the Nevada
made
Triangle
by
too.
Bruce
Well,
McAfee,
there's one at
who's
the
a
South Pole in Antarctica as well now.
physics
Yep.
physicist employed by
They
the
tell
Naval
you not to
Surface
fly
Weapons
over because
Laboratory
you'll
and
lose
one of the
all
most respected figures in
electricity,
ufology.
I don't think we have this
all
picture, so go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to hold it up here.
radar, all
And,
instrumentation. I think that's
You can
bullshit
see
though.
the,
Sometimes
I mean,
they're trying to keep
the
people out of there.
size of the
Because if you go
747
there on
to
Google
the
Maps, it's all
UFO.
blurred out. That's
Now, the
another thing.
UFO was not brightly lit like
Holy
that.
crap!
It's just made like that for reference. It was
So
dark.
that's the
This
size.
is what he saw beside him.
Well, whose rendition is this?
This is the captain's. This is from the captain's rendition when he was debriefed by the FAA. Now, certain UFO debunkers have said what he saw was the planet Jupiter. Well, this is an insult to all transport
That is a
category
very
captains
huge
around
insult
the
for
world.
any
the
pilot.
guy knows the difference between something that's twice
And this
as
is
big
why
as an
people don't
aircraft
come out.
carrier and the planet Jupiter.
I've also heard that it's the reflection of his own plane.
But the radar,
Yeah.
that was an attempt to describe it. You can't imagine what pressure these people are under to.
They're gonna try to
cover this
explain
stuff
it
up.
away.
Which
It's
doesn't make sense
tremendous
because
pressure.
he's having physical
really is.
confirmation,
Okay.
radar
Yep.
But
confirmation
you were
on
going to
his
tell me
instrumentation,
the church.
instrumentation
You want to go
panel,
further into the JAL?
and they're having
that's
ground
it. I just wanna say
confirmation.
that's
So, like,
one
think about that.
report. It
Yeah.
had the captain and the ATC conversation.
And if it's just
it
like a
had
light
the radar
that's created
plots,
by
and
some
it had
experiment
the,
thing,
Air Force plots and
it
the
wouldn't have
FAA
given a radar
plots.
return.
There was no
Only
question
solid
about it.
I mean,
objects
they
give
do
radar.
Well, tell
they
me.
do
Followed
get
it.
false
The
radar
church.
returns
What
for
do they
like
think
low
might be
ground,
going
low
Well,
grounds
here's
and
a
stuff where the
copy
You're
ground
right,
place
yeah.
checks on the
Monday
radar.
evening,
But
But nothing
evening of
that
July
big and
21st,
solid.
and
1987.
like no,
Says prepare to meet thine aliens. Vatican theologians have acknowledged that there could be life on other planets. Now they plan to train missionaries capable of
It's
working
funny,
in space
since this
and meeting
video, the
aliens.
Pope's come out and said
Jesuit
that they believe that
scientists
there's more
at the
than that.
Vatican Observatory in
Yep.
Frascati near Rome have reported moving lights and other identified phenomena in the sky. Starting in September, the Vatican University will have a
And the
special
Bible
UFO
says
section.
that humans are the only thing that God created on earth. You didn't mention anywhere else.
yep.
You've said before you thought
That's
a
why.
lot of their intentions were hostile, and you've mentioned before that a lot of
Fun
the
to watch
sites
these
were around
old
military
interviews.
They're
You
bases.
holding
see-
aliens at
Why don't we see them here?
Area 51
Las Vegas,
too.
we got
So
a
I
lot
mean,
of
you know,
military
that's
bases here.
And you see the
probably
mirroring
part of
that's
it.
happening with the subject matter today, with the old subject matter. Nothing's changed, dude. So if it's a lie, then it would have
Air
changed.
Force
Same-
bases.
same
We have
context
the,
20 years
test
later.
site, and of course, we don't know what's going on there.
30 years
And
almost.
we have
Right?
Dallas Air Force
And
Base,
altogether,
but
an
there have not
80-year
really been
cover
a lot
up.
of sightings over
Yep.
there. The main Air Force sightings were in 1975.
Nuclear
and,
weapons
the
again.
UFOs
Nuclear weapons.
descended on
It's always nuclear
every
weapons
strategic
facilities.
air command base guarding the
They shut them
perimeter of
off.
the
They shut
North
them
United
on. They play
States.
with us. They fuck
And
with us. They let
they
us know
hovered
who's in
over
charge.
the
Like,
nuclear weapon storage area. They stayed there with impunity for up to 2 and 3 hours over a period of 3 days.
And nobody heard about it.
Well, there was a few reports, but you really don't. I have a report 150 pages long of the F-106s that were sent out to chase them.
get the
And the
Canadians to
helicopters
chase them. That way they can be like, they're
notifying the
crazy. Don't worry about those guys.
And the security patrolmen that were sent down to actually see what was going on.
They gotta
They'd
have
come
them.
up on these things, and they say, "I'm not going any further."
You think maybe it's a top secret area if the Air Force actually does have them? They got him here.
I'm certain they do. Up at the test site, there's a report that of the 3 that they got in perfectly good condition, at least one.
How
is
do
up
we
at the
fly
test
it?
site
There's
and
no
has flown,
controls.
and one was being flown as of 1981
By us.
by us.
We mentioned at the top of the show that perhaps a breakthrough might be coming. That some of these people from MJ12 or from the Project Blue Book who are in on the government's
Right.
research and saw some of the stuff
Which that's
Just
the,
might be ready to talk. We
that's
got
always
about
been
a
the
minute
case.
left.
Half-
Why don't you
Half
talk
the
Keep
about
panel
it?
going.
wants to release, half the panel doesn't. There's always going to be people in the room that
part of MJ12
are
wants
on
to
our
release
side,
it, part
inside the
doesn't.
government.
We're hoping
Yep.
that we can do this, but of course,
We
as
just hope they're
researchers,
growing
we're
in
not
numbers.
aware of all the ramifications. We just know of what we're looking at. So we'd
Big
like to see
shouts
it
out to
released, but
that
we
man
really
right there,
don't know.
George Knapp.
Yeah. George Knapp
Yeah,
does a
we
lot for
are.
the community.
Okay.
Well,
John,
guys, it's been
very
an interesting
interesting.
first episode.
You keep
Big
us
shout out
posted.
to
Yeah.
my
Thank
co-host
you. See you
Kevin.
next
I
week.
can't wait to
More
get back
on the
here and do this again. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes. Thank you much.
Kevin, you got any last words to say before we
No,
head
just
her off?
appreciate you having us in here and doing this, and look forward to seeing you all next week.
I hope you guys were having a good time with the conversations and some of the takes that Kevin could take with his job experience. We're going to keep diving into things personally and going through photos and showing you guys things the exact same way we just did. It's just going to get better and better, guys. So I'll talk to you soon and hope you enjoy it. Peace out.